Hello everybody, I'm Baltmatrix, and today we are taking a look at Studio Series 86, GRIMLOCK. Now this is being recorded on Friday, May 21st, and I have had this figure for too long and have not reviewed it because, dang it, I'm stuck in the basement all day doing work, and I'm just not in the mood to review at the end of the day. But hey, today's Friday, so let's do it. Now, Fan First Friday was had today, and there's already another Dinobot announced, and that is Slag. Not Slug, Slag, and for some reason he comes with Daniel. This Dinobot comes with the orange abomination that is this little Wheelie figure, and man, there's a lot wrong with this. We'll talk about him in a minute. GRIMLOCK is packaged in robot mode, but I'm going to start off with dino mode here because I think it is super good and me Baltmatrix like. Of all GRIMLOCKs that we've gotten over the years, this is by far the most cartoon accurate to the original Generation 1 show that we've ever gotten, except for the Masterpiece figure. But it's not perfect. There are a few oddities, like this giant, well, not hole, but this flak section on the back with these rivets and hinges. Those definitely not accurate, but the coloring and the proportions and everything else of the figure is pretty much cartoon accurate, or as cartoon accurate as I think we're going to get at this size class. This is a leader class figure, and it feels like it, and it looks real good too. Posability in dino mode is quite good. Head is on a swivel, but be careful because if you swivel it too much, his head has a tendency to pop off. I mean like that in the way he's supposed to transform. Head can move up and down, can look all the way up almost, and can look a little bit down. Mouth opens and closes quite well. I mean, that's a 45-degree mouth opening there. It works. It works really well. The only thing I don't like is the giant screw holes that are sticking off the sides of his face. Continuing with the rest of posability of the figure, there is a ball joint in the shoulder. These do have a tendency to pop out every now and then. There is a hinge joint in the arm, and you can get a good bit of reach ability with these little stubby arms. I kind of wish the arm was articulated. I'm sorry, the hand. I kind of wish the claws were articulated, but I can understand why they're not. Probably a third-party company at some point is going to make some kind of better hands. These white plastic bits that are the front arms are that white nylon plastic, and there has been some breakage that I've seen from other folks. Legs are nice and ratchety and can split all the way out, which is really weird to see on a dinosaur. Then swivel, bend at the knees that only bend forward because, hey, they're the robot arms. Tail doesn't really move at all, which is unfortunate, but I'll live. On the back of the neck are these little detail bits right here. Those are where Wheelie's inner lower legs peg into, and then there are pegs on the bottom where the bottom of his, or the back of his heels peg into. It doesn't work all that well. It really doesn't, and I end up just kind of futzing with it and just barely getting him onto the figure, just enough so that I can make a joke of saying, "Friend find right behind," and then doing this. I suppose we should talk about Wheelie, and there are some problems. Alright, let's talk about Wheelie. I don't particularly like this little figure. All of his limbs are super empty inside, just like his soul. He does have some decent posability, though. Ball joint in the shoulders, swivel at the head, that really is actually a ball joint, swivel at the torso, ball joint of the hip. But then his legs are stuck in these bent... It's just stuck. You can't pose them. So he can kind of sit here and squat like he's going to take a poo, or squat and shoot his slingshot, but he has a tendency to fall over more often than not. And I just keep trying to pose him in ways that look cool, and he always winds up on his metal keister. Now, I am aware that there are some third-party, or I don't want to even say third-party. Would they be third-party at this point? There are some creations out there on Shapeways and other places that made new legs that you can order and then paint up yourself. I'm tempted to send this off to GrimLockamus and get him to paint it for me, because I can't paint worth a darn. It would also be nice if there was an extra swivel so he could actually turn his arm such that it looks like he's actually going to shoot the slingshot, as opposed to just, I guess, do this, which I guess works? You didn't buy this set for Wheelie. Though I do appreciate the addition and thought that was put into it. Because, I mean, this appeared in one scene in the movie, and it's probably Wheelie's most iconic scene ever. Alright, Grimlock's transformation. Pretty darn easy. To start with, come down to the tail, grab the sections, and just kind of wiggle them apart. They do come apart pretty easily. Come underneath the tail and pop open the tail bits like that. And then we can fold the white tail tips into the inside of those bits. Fold the entire tail section out, and then snap them into place to form the legs. Come down to the bottom of the legs and close the bottom portion of the tail to form the back of the legs. And you want to do that first, because then we can flip the feet up, and there are these little notches that are cut out of the bottom of the feet that allow the connector bits for the tails to sit there nicely. Straighten out the legs, and stand up the utter monstrosity that you have created. Come to the front of the dino mode and split it open, lifting them up a little bit and out of the way, and then split them across the back to form the wings of the robot mode. Grab the dinosaur head and flip it around to the back and peg it into place. Flip up Grimlock's head, or noodle, and grab the entire chest section and rotate it up and snap it into place and fold out the fists. If you are a fan of the original Grimlock, this is the perfect figure next to the Masterpiece figure. We haven't gotten anything this good before, other than that original Masterpiece figure, which is over 10 years old at this point. This thing it's beautiful. It is utterly beautiful. It is chunky in the right ways. It is accurate to that original toy and original character design in the right ways. And it's superposable and nice, and it comes with a gigantic gun that I just dropped. I love this figure. I absolutely love this figure. But if you're not a G1 fan, or maybe you're younger and you haven't even watched G1 and you don't have that kind of reverence, it might be lost on you. Now, even though I love this figure, there are a few things that I could see that would improve it. Grimlock's head, while absolutely brilliant, could use some light piping. There's no light piping here. I love this blue visor, but I really would have liked just a little bit of light piping. The dino wings on the back feel a little flimsy. It's specifically these nylon plastic white pieces. I'm not sure what I can do about that. I'm not even sure I can fix it. The chest piece is painted beautifully, except the back. I mean, if you push the chest piece a little bit, you could see the white here. And no, it's not the most critical thing in the world, but it is noticeable. It's just odd that they didn't paint that part. I would have loved if they spent the extra little bit of money to give us a flap that we could open, turn the fist in, and then close up again. It almost feels like it was originally designed with that in mind, but obviously it's missing, and these giant gaps are a real eyesore. Lastly is the lack of accessories. He could have used a giant red sword. That's it. That's the only other thing I wish it had. But don't worry, I'm sure third parties or fans out there who have 3D printers, maybe non-NEF or some of the other companies, are going to make a sword. Heck, I think there are already like 2 of them already. I just haven't bought any yet. Posability for Grimlock is excellent. Head is on a big ol' ball joint. Shoulders are the same as the dino legs. Nice and ratchety and clicky with tons of articulation. Bending, twisting, turning, everything. 80s goodness that we never had in the 80s. Torso swivel. Legs can kick forward and kick it back on nice little ratchets and can kick out 90 degrees. Then there is a 90-degree bend at the knee, and these feet, oh boy, these feet are good. Look at that. Man, look at that split action going. He's making Siege Prime blush. Now, even though Grimlock is a leader class figure, he's still shorter than MP10 Prime. But thankfully, Grimlock does tower over Prime from, well, Earthrise, and Siege. And I think this is actually the scale that shows up in the show. I think Grimlock is like 2 or 3 heads taller than Prime. Could be wrong on that, though. Now, before we end this video review, do need to show you the compatibility with Wheelie in robot mode. There are peg holes on the very tops of his shoulders where Wheelie could sit, and Wheelie has a peg on the underside of his left thigh. So, Grimlock has shoulder sniping Wheelie action. Or would that be Wheelie sniping shoulder action? Or would it be Wheelie shoulder sniping action? Wheelie shoulder sniping action. Okay, yeah, I think that last one is the best one. Overall, Grimlock is great. Flat out, Grimlock is great. Even if you're not a Generation 1 fan, this figure is a ton of fun and definitely worth having in your collection. I'm just really happy with it, and it's probably one of my favorite figures from the Studio Series 86 line. So folks, let me know what you think of Grimmy down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications. As always, I am Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you next time.